Dr. Hickey here, and feel so honored and privileged to get to do this. What you're going to hear over the next several minutes is Dr. Hickey's perspective of being in the medical profession now for 38 years. Dr. Hickey, I'll let him introduce himself formally here in just a minute, but Dr. Hickey is not only a doctor of chiropractic, he's also a naturopathic doctor or an NMD, as well as a licensed clinical nutritionist, and just is a wealth of knowledge and information on the subject of nutrition and health and disease prevention. And anyway, again, Dr. Hickey, I just feel honored and privileged to have the opportunity to get a little bit of your time and get some of your expertise and experience. And I know everybody on the call here live and many more that will be watching on replay will be tremendously blessed by this information and encouraged. Before we jump into this and I start going here, I just want to remind everybody this is a private closed group. Nobody can see the content on the inside or even see the group in general in an internet search. So if you know somebody that would be encouraged by this information you're hearing today or anything else in this Facebook group, please feel free to invite anybody into the group, tag them in the comments of this post or any other post for that matter. And also, we'd love to hear from you, if you've got any kind of results, which I know most of you have, any kind of results from the Neolife products. Even if it seems like a small little win, please share your wins here in this group. Such an encouraging, positive community. We'd love to have you contributing as well. So please, we welcome your posts of your health transformation in your journey and your little wins and your big wins. It doesn't have to be some, transformational weight loss story or overcoming some major health issue or some of these stories that I'm sure we're going to hear here in a moment from Dr. Hickey. But anyway, with that being said, let's jump right into this, Dr. Hickey. I don't want to waste any time. So if you would, can you start by just sharing with everybody just a little bit about yourself?
Well, yes, thank you, Alan. And I really appreciate and I'm honored to be part of this group. And so thank you for asking me to be on today. So I'm married to my beautiful wife, Jan, and September we'll be married 33 years. And we have three children. Two boys and a daughter, and 5 grandchildren, and so we're really blessed in that area. I've been a chiropractor for 38 years, and I've been a clinical nutritionist and naturopathic physician for a couple years, and yeah, it's been a long journey, but it's just been something that I just absolutely loved. So yeah.
I am muted. There we go. I'm unmuted. Thank you again for taking your time to be with us. And I want to start just by asking, as a medical professional, prior to, as I understand it, I think you've been using Neolife in your practice for close to 6 years now. Is that correct? About 6 years. So prior to that, what were you using as it related to nutritional support before you learned about Neolife 6 years ago?
Well, because of my education in that and my background, I've always wanted to utilize natural products, obviously. And so I searched out what I thought was some of the best products, and especially professional supply products. But I used a lot of standard process in my office. I used actually quite a bit of Shackley nutritionals as well. And then there were other professional supply products that people may not have heard of, but I had access to them, and I used a number of those over the years as well.
And what made you switch about 6 years ago to using the Neolife products that you recommended to your patients?
Well, we were so frustrated with trying to help my son John, who is also a chiropractor and clinical nutritionist. He had about 6 years ago, well, no, it was about 8 years ago, he had black mold toxicity, and he sought a lot of different medical help naturopathic and even the medical field to help with his black mold. And I was trying to supply him with all of these different nutrients that I was getting from Shackley and from Standard Process. And we were trying to cover all of our bases with helping him. And it just didn't help. I mean, he just still kept faltering in that. And then he was actually a camp counselor at a Christian camp in California, and he ran into his boss at the time, Bob and Debbie, and they knew he was struggling with his health, so they recommended some Neolife products to him, and so he started taking them. And about 3 weeks later, we're in conversation. He's saying, "Dad, I'm feeling better," and I'm thinking it's kind of a placebo thing, so I wasn't really all that impressed because I just sent him, a couple $100 worth of products, and they were still in the box. But anyway, another 3 weeks later, and he said, "Yeah, this is making a huge difference. So please check in on it." And so at that time, that's when I decided that I was go ahead and look in on it and stuff. And the science behind it really made a difference to me. I was looking at it and I thought, well, this does make sense. And some credible scientists that I was listening to on some CDs and that just gave me some good information. So it was a natural transition to be able to start utilizing that myself personally, and then I started using it with the patients.
That's great. And I want to hear about some of those other stories that you've seen, examples of how the products have helped some of your other patients. But before we jump into that here, had you tried some of the other products that you were highly recommended and were the best products you knew of on the market before learning about Neolife? Had you tried some of those products with your son John and his black mold toxicity problem that he was dealing with, or not?
Yeah, in fact, yeah, we tried those for about 2 years. And I just kept kind of just sending him stuff because he was off to chiropractic school, and while he was here, I was providing a lot of supplements to him, and it just wasn't making an inroads in his health. It just wasn't.
What do you think was the big difference? Is that maybe that's a interesting question, but why do you think Neolife products helped him so much when the others weren't helping?
Well, okay, so that's a great question, actually, Alan. I really appreciate that because what we found was that in all the research that I've been doing now over the last 6 years and so, is that Neolife, what their products are designed to do is they're designed to be bioavailable. And so the bioavailability is actually reaches the cellular level. And when I talk to some of the scientific advisory board members, our scientists at Neolife, they're able to actually go in, and because of the technology, they're able to actually know whether or not a nutrient is bioavailable at the cellular level. And so all of this has made a huge difference for John and myself as well, and for all the patients that I've gotten on these products to help with their health. So I think it's the bioavailability at the cellular level that's making the huge difference.
I get that, and the reason I ask is because you had done your due diligence, you had done your research, and with the information you had at the time 6 years ago, you were using what you thought were the best products, obviously. And I know you personally now over the last few years. I've had the pleasure to get to know you on a friendship level, and I know you care about people and you care about them getting help, and you wouldn't have been recommending something before if you didn't believe it was the best possible thing to help them. So that's why I asked that question. What you think is different, what you learned based on what the new information you learned 6 years ago or so. And that makes perfect sense. Thank you. If we could, that's probably a perfect segue to me just asking you, if you don't mind, just sharing, some other stories of, or examples of patients that you've had, that you've seen a dramatic impact that these products have made on their life and their health.
Well, absolutely. I got a whole bundle of them, but I think we'll start with one. This was a patient I had. I think I sent you some pictures. This is a Candida patient, and she had had a kind of just a respiratory cold type of thing, and so she'd gone on some antibiotics, and she was actually on the antibiotics. A couple different bouts with those. And then what ended up happening is that she started getting this Candida overgrowth in her body. And so she had dealt with this problem for about 9.5 years when I was able to finally get in contact with her. And so we started her on a protocol for the Candida. And the one on the far left, that was the very first picture that I took on the first day before she started taking anything. And then the next picture that you see was just 1 week later. So that one was just a week later. And then the next picture was that was about a month later. And now we changed her diet around as well. So obviously that was very, very important. And she cut out her sugars and that type of thing. And she was very diligent about eating a clean diet and that. And then, but what she was taking initially for this particular protocol was she was taking 6 garlic allium complex at bedtime, and then 6 acidophilus plus in the morning, and then 1 Pro Vitality pack a day. And the Pro Vitality pack is just a concentrated nutrient base of nutrients, which is a grain oil, and it's a fruits and vegetables, which is what we call carotenoid complex, and then it's also omega-3 oils, which are really important for the cellular health. So those, so she was gaining on it for that first month even. And then
and those are all Neolife products for anyone listening that may or may not recognize the names. But
yes.
Continue on, Dr. Hickey, and I'm happy to share the other pictures when you're ready.
Yeah. So basically, so we got the results right in that first month, and then she ended up starting to take some other things. She took some Beta-Guard, which is another product, which is a detoxifier of the body, and that was recommended. So she started taking that, and she also started taking extra grain oil concentrate that we call Trianan, and that was also something she wanted to do because she knew that the cells needed a lot of help and repair and that type of thing. So if you'll go ahead and put that other slide up there, will show as that progression goes. So that was, yeah. So now we're a full month into that. I'm sorry, that first one, that last one was 3 weeks. Now this is a full month into it. So you can see the change that's actually taken place. And then she started taking some multi-minerals and some flavonoid complex and some vitamin E as well. So she started stacking on a few items to that basic protocol. And so she was taking this basic protocol all the way through this process. So 6 garlic, 6 acidophilus, and 1 Pro Vitality pack. And then a few weeks after that, she started taking a polyphenol drink that we have, which is superfoods, fruits and that's called Tray. And so that was fantastic. So that really worked out really well for her, along with some a B complex. So she was taking a number of things, but she kept getting improvement to the point where, if you'll show that last picture, you'll see how she was. So then, yeah. So that was her in July of the following year. So it was about 6 months later, and that was her results. And so she was taking a number of different supplements. In fact, we boxed those up and we carted those out of her house because she wasn't getting any results, and she'd been on those for quite some time. but the Neolife products made a huge difference for her, and so she was so happy. You can still see a little bit of the scarring on that last picture you put up there from that. It was 6 months, but the
Right.
infection is gone, and she got her life back. It was really dramatic.
That is incredible. Absolutely amazing. And I appreciate you emailing me those pictures so that we could share them with the everybody listening in. Thank you so much, Dr. Hickey. We've got a little more time. If you've got another example or two, I'd love to hear it. I'm sure everyone else would. I sure appreciate, again, your time.
Well, absolutely. Now, okay, so we use so many of the Neolife products in a protocol format, and so what we're trying to do is we're trying to create within the body cellular health to allow for whatever condition that we're dealing with. We're trying to put these bioactive compounds and nutrients into the bodies. And so I'll give you an example of a lady who had breast cancer. Now she was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer, and they didn't give chemotherapy a whole lot of chance to really help her with that her breast cancer. And so what ended up happening is that she started on the protocol. Now, every time we start anybody on any kind of protocol of these concentrated nutrients with Neolife, what we're doing is we're also changing their diet. We're having them start juicing, eating clean, organic, and non-GMO. We might have them do some IV nutritional therapy to bolster their immune system, because all of what we're trying to do with, let's just say, a cancer patient, is we're trying to boost their immune system. We're not trying to cure their cancer through some of these concentrates, but what we're trying to do is we're trying to help their body fight as best they can to fight these cells that are growing out of control. So anyway, so she went through that process. She was on some IV nutritional high vitamin C and glutathione IVs, as well as changing her diet. She started juicing, a number of different things. And then we got her on that concentrated nutrient protocol with Neolife. So she was on that for about 6 months. At the end of that 6 months, she went in to see her oncologist, and they could not believe that she was even alive after 6 months because of how the state that she was in. Well, at that point, they said, well, we got to start doing some chemo. You got to start taking chemo. And she said, well, I really don't want to. But she was in the system because she was on Medicaid. So they started her on a chemo, first chemo treatment. Well, at the end of that treatment, she was supposed to go in the next week and have another one. Well, they ended up doing a PET scan. They said, well, we should have done it before we started the chemo, but we'll do it on this particular occasion. They couldn't find any cancer in her body, Alan. And It was really amazing, because the body is the healer. And when we give the body the concentrated nutrients that it really needs, the body does an amazing job at really helping with some of these chronic diseases. So anyway, they were dumbfounded. They couldn't hardly believe it. And so she went ahead and did the chemo and made her sick and hair fall out and all that other stuff. But she's cancer-free today. That's been about 3 years ago. And so we're just blessed. We're so blessed with these amazing bioavailable products that really are making a difference in people's lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. And you've already touched on this, and thank you for reminding me. And I'll just say this again, just to kind of reiterate what you just got done sharing, Dr. Hickey, as far as the human body. And I love sharing that what I believe, that the human body is the best hospital in town, with no disrespect to all you and my other medical professional friends, which I'm so thankful for. And fill a great need in our society. But when it comes to disease prevention and healing ourselves of those sorts of things and preventing those sorts of things, the body is a great healer, but it's just so desperately lacking the raw materials it needs in the diet. So again, we're not claiming that Neolife Nutritionals, as you already said, Dr. Hickey, or it is a miraculous cure for anything. But what is miraculous is what the human body is capable of doing when filling those gaps in our diet, when adding exercise in with proper rest and sleep and all the other holistic things that are so important, as you've so well touched on, in the for optimal health, right? Which we're all looking to achieve. I don't know if you have another story you want to share, or if or time, we're getting a little short on time. If it's quick, you can. Otherwise, I'm curious what you might say. So feel free if there's one you think you can squeeze in if we have time. Otherwise, I'm curious to find out from you. What would you say to somebody who's watching this as we start to wind down, live or here on the replay later, saying, man, maybe they're on the fence and they're thinking, man, I need help. I want to prevent disease. I need to start doing something for the same reason I changed the oil in my car. I don't want to be one of these statistics that's, I was just reading recently, 2 out of 10, was it 2 out of 10, I think, currently have a chronic disease, and like 4 out of 10 have 2 or more. Adults here in the US anyway. It's out of control, and 3 out of 4 deaths are caused by a chronic disease. And everybody knows a diabetic or someone overweight, or the list goes on and on and on. It's just an epidemic. But for someone on the fence going, I know I need it, if for no other reason for prevention, and the majority probably watching this going, yeah, I've got something in my health I'd like to improve, more energy, better sleep, whatever the issue is, the objective is, I should say, but they're on the fence. Like, will it help me? Is it better really than something I can get maybe for a cheaper price or maybe for more expensive? What would you say to that thoughtful skeptic or that person on the fence in closing? And any other final comments you might want to make?
Sure. Well, okay. I want to give one more chance to say that I have one patient who had he had a staph infection. He had fallen off of his bike, and the staph infection grew in his body. They gave him some antibiotics. He had 4 different antibiotic courses throughout that year, and the staph kept traveling. And at the end of the year, he was really frustrated, and because it was showing up underneath his opposite arm and everything else. So I got him on this exact same protocol of the 6 garlic allium complex and 6 acidophilus plus for 1 month. And it was gone. And that's been 3.5 years. And I see this guy all the time. It's gone. It's not there any longer. And so what I would say is that, in closing, I would say that for anybody on here that isn't familiar with Neolife products, realize that the research has already been done. It's already been done by our scientists that have formulated products that are bioavailable. They work at the cellular level, and anybody that wants to improve their energy and the majority of our concentrated nutrients are anti-inflammatory. And so I get so many people that come in here that are in pain, and so if I give them 2 or 3 of these concentrated nutrients, they're already getting an anti-inflammatory effect from them. And so that's what's wonderful is when I can help somebody with a pain problem by just giving them 3 of our concentrated nutrients. All of a sudden their pain starts to go down, and maybe we were giving it to them for high blood pressure. Well, because they're anti-inflammatory in their effects, they're already less pain. So it's something that if you're on the fence, talk to the person that that actually has been sharing this with you, and let them know that you're ready to start, because there's no reason to stop. We can't get it from our food. We already know that. So we need to take the concentrated nutrients in the form that that Neolife has provided for us, and that's just what we all should do, and that's how we all can be a blessing to the people around us, because there's no product out there that's like this. None.
Absolutely. I know one question before we close that I wanted to ask you way earlier, but were you skeptical when you first learned about Neolife?
Well, I was really skeptical. I did not even want to look into the company or the products because the uniqueness of Neolife was not, I didn't understand it initially. I knew that it was a network marketing company, and now I've embraced it and love it. But at the time, I did not want to look into one more network marketing company, because I got bombarded by so many people in my profession, by patients and that type of thing. Look at this, look at that. So when John told me to look into it, I just did not want to. But because he was getting the results, and because I've seen the results with myself and with my patients, it's phenomenal. There's nothing out there like it. No other network marketing company can even come close to what we have with Neolife.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for letting me circle back and ask that question, because I think if I gave you more time and you had more time, and I won't take any more of your time, but I think if we did, you could break down probably why. But one of the things that I was just listening to you kind of close out that came to mind that I really, really appreciate about these products, and why I believe after 20 years of taking them ourselves and seeing, having our own stories, not as a medical professional, just as a lay person, is that these nutrients, and you said this, you kept saying food concentrates or food extracts or whatever words you were using, and we can't get everything from our diet. And I was just looking at some products yesterday and another companies, and I was looking at the ingredients, and it was like chicken cartilage and some of these things. I'm thinking, who eats that on purpose anyway? Who eats that? Duck feathers and some of this stuff, and human hair is the source of some protein products out there, and some interesting stuff in some of the collagen products out there. I'm thinking, who eats that? And that, for us, speaking for myself, was a big differentiator when I looked at Neolife, and I said, this is food. These are ingredients from fruits and vegetables and whole grains and salmon and things that we're just not getting enough of. And what's so cool, and you said this just a minute ago, made me think of that, is with medicine, we give medicine for, you mentioned high blood pressure or cholesterol, one of those just a minute ago, which made me think of this. You give medicine for that, which does one thing, hopefully one thing, is lowers the cholesterol, hopefully lowers the blood pressure, whatever the issue is, and potentially has side effects, as we all know, that are negative. It does nothing else for joint pain or depression or whatever else might be going on. And you kind of alluded to this, but I love the fact with whole food nutrition from real food, we can give it to somebody or take it ourselves for something like high blood pressure, high cholesterol. And as you mentioned, notice, oh, my knee pain is gone. I'm noticing not side effects, but side benefits. Oh, if someone was struggling with ADD or depression or who knows what, the body does what the body needs to do with the ingredients to balance things out without any side effects. I just love that, don't you?
Well, I absolutely do too. And I tell so many of my patients, and I tell so many of the people who are taking some of the Neolife products, that the breakfast pack, okay, will help with probably 90% of all of the conditions that everybody has. Now, is it going to take care of every single thing? No, but it'll help with about 90% of whatever anybody has, whether it's diabetes, high blood pressure, any kind of bowel problems, because of the way that we actually have 56 nutrient families represented in what we call our breakfast pack. It's a health pack. And out of 59 known nutrient families. So we are, it's just power packed with nutrient families that really help the body through those chronic disease states. And so that's a fantastic thing.
Well, I love it. Thank you so much, Dr. Hickey. Thank you again for your time. I'm sure I'm looking at the comments and the the response out here on the Facebook Live and in this Healthy Living community group, and I see everyone's appreciating it just as much, if not more so, than I am. So thank you. And with that, I will say this last closing comment. If you've heard something that you think is going to encourage someone else, please feel free to invite anyone else into this group. Tag them in the comments. Let them watch this. Let them be encouraged to take the next step in their health journey so that they can live a healthier, happier, more productive life, hopefully of service to others with the extra vibrant health and energy. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, make it an ultra awesome, fantastic day. Thanks again, Dr. Hickey, and goodbye, everybody.
Thank you, Alan.